A higher loyalty. Truth, lies, and leadership. James Comey. Truth, lies, and leadership. The life, the thing of ours, the bully, meaning the easy lie on the tracks, confirmation BS, who shatter the wings and listen, the roadkill, speak a counsel, Trump Tower, test of loyalty, the cloud, epilogue, acknowledgements, index. Who am I to tell others what the ethical leadership is? Anyone claiming to write a book about ethical leadership and came across a presbyterius, even sanctimonious. All the more so if that Arthur happens to someone who was quite memorably and publicity fired from his last job. I understand the impulsive to think that any book written about anyone's life experience can be exercised in vanity, which is why I long resisted the idea of writing a book of my own. I changed my mind for an important reason. We're experiencing dangerous time in our country with a political environment where basic facts are disputed, fundamental truth is questioned, lying and normalizing and unethical behavior is ignored, excused, and or reward. This is not just happening in our nation capital and just the United States. It is a troubling trend that has touched in institutions across America, around the world. Boardrooms of major companies, newsrooms, university campuses, the entertainment industry of professional and Olympic sports. For some, for the crooks, liars, and abusers, or has been the reckoning for others that remain excuses, justifications of the stubborn willingness by those around them to look the other way of even enable the bad behavior. So if there's ever was a time to examination of the ethical leadership would be useful, it is now. Although no expert. I have studied, read, and though about ethical leadership since I was in college. Student instruct for decades, which how to practice it. No perfect leader is available to offer those lessons, so it falls all the rest of us who care about such things to drive conversation and challenge ourselves and our leaders to do better. Ethical leaders do not run for criticism, especially self-criticism, and they don't hide from uncomfortable questions. They welcome them. All people have flaws, and I have many. Some of mine, as you'll discover in this book, as that I can become a stubborn, prideful, overconfident, and drive by ego. I've struggled with those my whole life. There are plenty of moments I look back on which I had those things differently, and a few that I downright embarrassed by. Most of us have those moments too. The important thing is that we learn from them and hopefully do better. I don't love criticism, but I know I can be wrong, even when I'm certain I'm right. Listening to others who disagree with me and are willing to criticize me and is essential to piercing the seduction of certainly doubt. I've learned is wisdom, and the older I get, the less I know for certain. The leaders who never think they are wrong, who never question their judgments and perspectives, are danger to organization and people they lead. In some cases, they are a danger to the nation and the world. I have learned that the ethical leaders lead by seeing beyond the short term, beyond the urgent, and take every action with few towards lasting values. They might find their values in religious tradition or moral worldview, uneven appreciation of history. For those values, the truth, integrity, and respect for others, the name just a few serve as extreme reference points of ethical leaders to make decisions, especially hard decisions in which there is no easy and good option. Those values are most important. What may pass from feeling wisdom or group think of thrive. Those values are most important than the impulses of bosses above them and the passions of employees and below them. There are more important ethical organizations, profitability, a bottom line. Ethical leaders choose a higher loyalty and those core values over their own personal gain. Ethical leaders is also about understanding the truth about humans and our needs for meaning. It's not about building workplaces where standards are high and fear is low. Those are the kinds of cultures where people will feel comfortable speaking the truth of others to others as they seek excellence to themselves and the people around them, without a fundamental commitment to the truth, especially in our public institutions. Of those who lead them, we are lost. As a legal principle, if people don't tell the truth, or justice system cannot function as in a society based on the rule of a law begins to dissolve. As a leadership principle, its leaders don't tell the truth or won't bear the truth from others, they cannot make good decisions, they cannot themselves improve, and they cannot inspire trust among those who follow them. The good news is that integrity and truth-telling can be modeled in powerful ways, shaping cultures of honesty, openness, and transparency. Ethical leaders can mold a culture by their words and, more important, by their actions, because they are always being watched. Unfortunately, the inverse is also true. Dishonest leaders have the ability to shape a culture by showing their people dishonesty, corruption, and deception of commitment, the integrity of higher loyalty to truth are what separate the ethical leader from those who just happen to occupy leadership roles. We cannot ignore the difference. I spent a lot of time thinking about the title of this book. In one sense, I came to the bizarre dinner meeting at the White House, where a new president of the United States demanding my loyalty to him personally over my duties as FBI director on the American people. But in another deeper sense, the title in the culmination of 4 decades in law and the federal prosecutor, business lawyer, and working closely with 3 U.S. presidents. Of all those jobs, learn from those around me and try to pass on those I work with. That is higher loyalty in all our lives, not to a person, not a party, not to a party, not to a group. The higher loyalty is lasting values most important. The truth. I hope this book usefully stimulating all of us think about the values that sustain us and search for leadership and that embodies those values. The higher loyalty. Instruction. Man's capacity for justice makes democracy possible by man's inclination. The injustice make democracy necessary. Reinhold Niebuhr. There are 10 blocks between FBI quarters and the Capitol Hill, and each of them is fixed by my memory from the countless shutter missions of the Pennsylvania Avenue, riding past the National Archives, where tourists were lined up the American documents and museum with the words of the First Amendment carved into the stone front of the t-shirt, and the t-shirt vendors a food trucks and becomes something of a ritual. It was a February 2017. I was in the black row of fully armored black FBI Suburban. The middle row of seats had been removed, so I sat in one of the 2 seats in the back. I had got used to the watch to the world pass by through the smart, dark, bulletproof side windows. I was on the way to yet another classified Congress briefing on the 2016 Russian election interference. Appearing in front of members Congress was default on a good day, and usually disentering. Nearly everyone appeared to take a side and seemed to listen only to the fingers, the nuggets that fit their desired spin. They would argue and each other, though you, my director of someone said X, would that person be an idiot? And the reply would come through you as well. Mr. Director, if someone said that someone who said X was an idiot, wouldn't that person be a real idiot? When the suspect involved the most contentious election in the memory of the discussion and the immediate aftermath, was even more vicious, with few willing or able to put aside all their political interests to focus on the truth. Republicans wanted to assert that the Russians had elected Donald Trump. Democrats, still reeling from the election results weeks before, wanted to opposite. There was a little common ground. It was like Thanksgiving dinner with the family eating together by the court order. The FBI, with me and as a director, was caught in the middle of the partisan bile, and this was not really new. We had been sucked into elections starting in July 2017, when the seasoned professionals at the FBI began criminal investigation, and the Hillary Clinton's heading at a classified information of her personal email system. It was a time when even using the terms of criminal and investigation was a source of needless controversy. A year later, in July 2016, we began as an investigation into whether there are massive Russian effort and the influence of presidential vote of hurting Clinton and helping elect Donald Trump. This was unavoidable of an unreliable situation for the Bureau. Apart from the politics of American life and mission is find the truth. To do that, the FBI can be on any one side except countries. Of course, members of the Bureau may have their own private political views like anyone else, but when it's people rise in courtroom or in Congress to report what they have found, they can be seen as Republicans and Democrats are part of any one tribute. For years ago, Congress created a 10-year term from the FBI director to reinforce the independence, but the capital city and country torn by partisan conflict. The FBI's severances was both alien and confusion and constantly tested. This placed an enormous stain on career professionals in the agony, especially as their motivates the routinely began questioning. I glance over the Greg border. Brower, the FBI new head of Congressional Affairs, who was riding to the Hill with me. Greg was a 50-year-old veteran with salt and pepper hair. We had hired him from a law firm prior to that. He had been a chief federal prosecutor in Nevada. And also an elected state legislator. He knew the business of law enforcement and also the challenging and very different business of politics. His job was to represent the FBI and the shark of the Congress. Barr had signed up for the kind of turmoil which only grew after shocking result in 2016 election. Greg had been part of the Peru for long, so I was worried this craziness and stress might be getting him. I have wondered whatever he might fling open the doors of the suburban and head for the hills, or at a younger age with a fewer turns in the witness table in Congress. I might have considered exactly the same thing. As I look at him, I assumed he was thinking that I was thinking, how do I end up here? I could see the worried brower face, so I broke the silence. How great it is, I said, the booming voice that no doubt caught the attention. The agents in front seats Browner look at me. We're in this shit, I said. Now he seems confused. Did the FBI director just say shit? Shut. Yup, I had. We waist deep in this shit, I added with an exaggerated smile, holding my arms out to shout just how deep it was. Where else would you want to be managing this St. Cripson Day speech? The Shakespeare added people abed in England tonight with will which they were here.